Hi everyone, welcome. You're here with Dr. Kelsey Lynn Brown, Dr. Henry James Draper, and Dr. Erick Totus Oak. And we're here to talk with you today about food forests, microgreens, sustainability, and self-sufficient living, things like that. And I'll swing it over to one of my friends.
Well, yeah, Kelsey's growing microgreens there in Huntington Beach, California. How's that going, Kelsey? Or why are you doing that?
Yes, you told me about microgreens, I don't know, months ago, and so we decided to do it. I ordered some of the trays from, there's a guy in Boston, for anybody watching, there's a YouTube video, it's about an hour long, and there's an individual in Boston, he's growing microgreens out of a bedroom in his house, or a room in his house, and he's making about $100,000 a year, selling locally and mainly to chefs in the area, so restaurants that want good, nutritious food. Since we found out that these microgreens have like a ton of nutrition, 5 times more nutrition than the big leafy vegetables. And microgreens, they're the first 2 little leaves that grow from the seed in the stem. So that's what microgreens are. So Henry sent me this video and I watched it, and I ordered about 5 of the large trays from these guys because they're like contracted through, it's like Dough-Mate, this pizza place, because they're selling their microgreens. They're not just growing them for themselves and eating them, but they're selling them, so they want it to be food grade. So these are actually food grade trays that I ordered. And then Henry also sent us the cocoa mats, and our friend Dean Val, he has a customer since he's a landscaper up in Northern California that's growing bamboo, and we're using the bamboo, the cocoa mats, and we are growing microgreens here in Huntington Beach. And it's been probably, this is the 3rd day now. And what we did is we have the trays, and then we took the cocoa mats and we soaked them in reverse osmosis water for about 24 hours. And then I dumped out the majority of the water after the 24 hours, and then I took like long pieces of bamboo and sawed them with like a big knife on the counter till they were about the size of the large trays, so that I could have like 4 pieces of bamboo to hold up the coconut mats so the coconut mats didn't touch the water. And then laid the coconut mats after I cut them, because the coconut mats came in this like long roll, like a piece of carpet. So I cut those into about 9 different pieces, and those fit into 2 trays. And then I put 9 different kinds of microgreen seeds. We ordered 12 different kinds of microgreens, like kohlrabi, red cabbage, kale, basil, like Japanese black onions, and all kinds of fun stuff. Mostly everything I ordered was purple or red greens, because from what I understand, those are like more nutritious. The only thing that was green I ordered was the peas. And so and then we covered them. And so you guys should watch this video of this individual in Boston, because that's where I learned how to do this. So then we covered them with a piece of plywood so that they're in the dark. And I've been spraying them with water and hydrogen, like 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. I probably put 12 drops in like a bottle this big of 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. And so they've been covered up so that it kind of simulates nature, so they'll sprout up trying to get to the sun that is not there, and then I'll eventually take off the lid and keep watering them and see if they grow. So we'll see what happens in Huntington Beach, California with the microgreens. And if anybody does watch this video that I'm talking about, then I suggest that you, like, if you just want to know how to grow the microgreens, then go to like 24 minutes. And that's when he starts talking about it, because it's only like 6 steps, and it's what I just explained. It's super simple. It's like really, really simple. But the whole video is good to learn a little bit more. And yeah, thank you, Henry, for sharing this with us, and it'll be fun to eat them. And it's something fun to do, and maybe we'll even start our own businesses with them or be doing this on the all solar research vessel projects and fun stuff like this. So this is a part of paying attention too, and that's what we do here. Real guidance and real education with the real universal guides, Rebizartars. And you'll see these individuals on the real side in your dreams, or you'll see them on Facebook with Miss Ava Shari Shun, the German great artist, with Dwayne, the great writer, and they're making images every day, wonderful image of these real universal guides. And there's individuals all around the world having real set experiences with these individuals. And one other thing is that you can be shown on the real side what to eat, so it's kind of fun. And real side's here and now. So here we are being shown certain things. But oh yeah, and this is Dwayne, and this is Rebizar right behind me. So it's kind of fun. And that's Dwayne as Superman over there too. You can kind of see that. It's a silhouette. I'll give it over to Henry. Thank you guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing, Kelsey. Yeah, microgreens are a cool way to grow your own food really easily. You know, with the cocoa mat, you don't have to worry about soil and mold and all sorts of things that can make things more difficult with that. And the really cool thing is that there's a group on Facebook called Growing and Selling Microgreens, and there's a PDF that tells you how to, you know, start your own business from scratch in like under 2 weeks, just by buying some shelves and some lights and just growing microgreens, and even tells you how to start selling them to chefs around you and at farmers markets and things. And it's a way to become self-sufficient because, like Kelsey said, there's a guy there in the States earning $100,000 a year from a tiny little single bedroom. So, yeah, and once you become self-sufficient, which is what we're teaching as wonderful worldwide educators, you don't have to worry so much about surviving here on the physical level, and you can focus on the other life levels and your real awareness. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And what we're doing here, we're actually growing them outside, so we didn't buy lights. Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. We're just going off of the sunlight out there. I do have a couple lights here, but they're like red and purple, and from watching the guy in Boston that's growing and making the $100,000 a year, he said just like the white lights is fine. You don't need any of the colors or anything like that.
Yeah, I think sunlight's always best if you can. Sure, your little microgreens will grow.
So that could possibly lead us into talking about food forests, right, Kelsey? Since you're growing outside. So I don't know if anybody's really heard of food forests, but it's like growing your crops in an already habited area, like a forest, obviously. So like, just like, if you've never heard of it, finding your own local area, your own local forest, and deciding to grow your crops there would probably be a nice option for people that don't have a lot of space in their house, or they don't have a lot of green around wherever they live. So like, that's probably something I would try to do, maybe. I mean, I have a lot of space around here, and we do also have like a local garden area for our apartment complex. But I think it'd be pretty cool to grow in your food in the forest and stuff like that too, with the other plants. They'll make friends.
Yeah, you know, about the microgreens, I was going to say too, this guy in Boston, since he's selling them to chefs and he's got to be like regulated and make sure it's food safe, there's a lot of interesting things that he does. One of them is that he just uses hydrogen peroxide, or he uses apple cider vinegar to catch any bugs or flies or make sure that everything is disinfected. And then the other thing is that because he grows on the cocoa mats, and from watching the video, it sounded like they might move to something else, maybe just even growing them in water or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, with the cocoa mats, instead of like cutting them and then selling them, they just like give their customers the microgreens on the mats, so it's like less food regulation. So it's these just good little ideas, so you don't have to deal with all the funny stuff, you know, because like farmers, you just grow the stuff and you give it away, you know, that's how it used to be. But now you've got all these like rules and regulations, but we don't have to do that, and we won't do that on also our research vessels and with our university. We won't have all these forms and restrictions and regulations, and it's going to be so like cool. It's like not going to be like the earth, and people aren't going to have to worry about getting sued and all this like funny stuff like doctors do and things like this. Yeah. And with the food forest, yeah, that's interesting. There was a place up in Washington State. They did like a food forest for the community, and it was on Facebook. This went around like viral on Facebook, and people were really concerned that like homeless people, like people that don't live in a house, were going to come and like take all the food in the food forest, and there was going to be none left. And that's not what happened at all. So there's like more than enough food and plenty of food, and that's what we show people too, is there's more than enough for everybody of everything, and everybody can have whatever they want. Everybody should have all the money and whatever they want, you know. And at the same time, what we do is we provide a real benefit with the businesses or the money or anything we do. So same thing with marketing. When we market anything, it's for the real benefit. We're marketing the real guides. It's to show you your real awareness to become self-sufficient and make better choices yourself. And yeah, so everything we do is a benefit no matter what it is we do because of our intent. And it all shows up on the real side. So it's really fun stuff.
Yeah, so a food forest is really cool. It's basically like simulating the way nature works. So you're planting trees and shrubs and everything, and a layered garden system, which requires very little maintenance. So the bottom layer, you'll have like your root vegetables if you want, and then you'll have like your herbs, and then like your bushes, like your berries, and then your smaller fruit trees like your mandarins and plums and things, and then your bigger fruit trees, maybe like mangoes and avocados and things in the top layer, and then you can have vines like passion fruit and, you know, things like that growing up the tree. So it's all kind of interlinked, and it doesn't really require any maintenance because you plant things that support each other. So, you know, maybe if some herbs start growing too much, you know, you just walk around the garden and compress them with your feet and things like that. So it's a pretty cool way to, you know, have like an abundance of food, because all the different layers are producing food at various times of the year, and it attracts a whole abundance of like wildlife too, and birds and insects and things. And you can introduce things like chickens, which will eat the insects on the ground that you don't want running up the trees, and, you know, they'll be like pooing around the place and fertilizing the soil. So it's a pretty cool way to integrate nature, and it really is the way nature works, but we're just kind of using it with our knowledge of you know, these beneficial relationships between different plants that create an abundance of food for us, which is really cool. And we're definitely going to have these on our research vessels and sustainable communities or self-sufficient communities that we're going to have. And yeah, it's really, really cool. Like, there's some cool videos on YouTube of people that have set up these food forests, and within a matter of years, they're just like abundance of food falling off trees, and to pick berries off the ground, and just like herbs everywhere. And herbs are super high in nutrition and often medicinal too. So yeah, food forests are wonderful.
Yeah, I watched some videos on YouTube. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's pretty famous out there on YouTube about like natural gardening or this kind of idea, and how like you don't just like put soil down. It's like you just leave it how it is in the forest and nature with all the like pine straw and like just how it's all totally covered, and everything will just grow naturally. And like you said, it's like not much maintenance at all, because you're just letting nature like do what it does, and creation do what it does.
Yeah. And we can help the process along. Like, some people will constantly, or like a few times a year, they'll prune the trees, just so that the branches and the leaves will fall to the ground, and they'll like decompose and add to the soil layer. But it's not like a vegetable garden where you have to go and like pick out all the weeds and then like add, like fertilizers, even organic ones like seaweed and things, you have to keep adding to the soil because the vegetables are taking the nutrients. But with a forest garden or a food forest, the trees are constantly giving back to the soil, and there's just like this relationship between everything that's just like giving and receiving, and you can help the process, of course, but yeah, it really just kind of takes care of itself, which is really cool. Just like, yeah, it's like we support the all-natural environment, and in turn it supports us, and we get mangoes and things like that. Yeah.
That sounds absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we've seen on the real side on the also research vessels, and one connection to the real side that Dwayne the Great Writer has presented is the new you. And so by seeing the new you before sleep, you can see and become more aware. And so we've seen on the real side, we've seen the trees and the terrariums and things that are already on the vessels. Also, the research vessels are already built on the real side. So we're doing our part to bring them here and make it a reality and create these fun opportunities for everyone on Earth. So here we are as the young people, and we're doing our part and seeing what other youngsters we can see, whatever other youngsters step up, because it's always up to the individual. So did you want to talk about sustainable, or really self-sufficient is the better word. Sustainable, that's with like the UN Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 and their human farming stuff. But the self-sufficient housing, did you want to talk about that, Eric or Henry? Did you guys have any ideas? You mentioned it, Eric. You brought it up at the beginning.
Okay, well, like the general idea is we can use more natural materials to build houses and homes for individuals. Like we can use recyclable materials. Like I saw an article the other day where people were using trash and recyclable materials. So yeah, basically self-sufficient living, things along that line is like utilizing more natural resources to build our houses, our homes, and the places that we live in. Like I was reading an article the other day about individuals using trash and recyclable materials to build their homes. And I mean, honestly, that's like a much better way to go about it than the industry that is right now, where they just dig into the ground, like deep into the earth, and use those resources that you can't really replenish to build their homes, their apartment buildings, and things like that. So yeah, what was it? Kelsey, you're the one that mentioned to us a bunch of times, like Hempcrete. And do you have any information about Hempcrete? And I know hemp is like a really versatile material that people use all the time, but I've never heard of it being used as like a building material, like for houses and things like that.
Yeah, there's tons of videos on it. About a year ago, I looked a lot into it and watched some videos. There's a lady, her name's Joni, Joni, and she does TED Talks and talks about building with hemp. And I actually contacted her, and she was willing and excited to be on one of our executive boards. And so I actually added her to one of our websites. She's like LEED, LEED certified. It's some kind of a self-sufficient thing that has been created out there. So yeah, people can watch the videos and learn about it. It's a really simple process. And yeah, we have in our business plan hemp, and we want to grow like tons of hemp because it can be great for a focus for people, something to do physically in the self-sufficient communities. You can do clothes, you can do paper, yeah, you can build with it. I mean, it's like endless. There's so much stuff, and we have it in our business plan for anybody interested in it, wants to start a self-sufficient community with us and with these types of things. I've also seen individuals building with bamboo. And there's one situation with bamboo, like certain bugs will eat it, but this lady, she found something from an insect that she took off of an insect and like coated it on the bamboo. So she built like a whole community of bamboo houses. So there's many ways to do things, and yeah, Hempcrete, it's a good one.
Yeah, hempcrete's really simple. It's just the hemp hull, the inside of the hemp plant, which is usually not used, or not as highly in demand as other parts of the plant. And yeah, it's just that ground up, and you mix it with water and lime as a binder. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's so many cool sustainable building like techniques out there, like adobe or super adobe and straw-like clay, which is just like straw with a bit of clay. And when it dries, it's like super hard. And these materials are very resistant to earthquakes because they're bendable, because they're not rigid like concrete is, or like bricks and things. And yeah, there's so many like techniques out there, and you can, in different parts of the world, you just use what materials are available to you, and it's really cool. And if there's anyone out there that's interested in these things or passionate about, like building sustainable buildings or communities, contact us, get involved, because we're going to be doing it on a big scale and having a lot of fun doing wonderful things. So, yeah, it's cool. Really cool. Yeah, there's also these Earthship people in New Mexico you could look up, who are building giant, extravagant, cool houses out of pretty much all just waste, and they're even growing a whole bunch of food inside the houses. They have like a greenhouse at the front section where it gets the most sun, and you got fig trees and all sorts growing in there. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've seen people like this in like communities that are building the earth ships, and they call them like earth homes or earth domes, and there's a lot of different names for them, and they'll dig into the ground too, and I don't know how deep it is, but deep enough, and they use it as like a refrigerator down there. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, from what I understand, these like earth domes, how they work is that from however they're built, right, that they don't need like air conditioning or heat or anything. It just, do you know about that, Henry? Can you talk about how that works?
Yeah, so the back side of the houses of these earth ships is kind of dug into the earth a bit, and the front side gets like all the sun all day because it's south facing in the northern hemisphere. And so just all this heat comes in during the day, and then passive heating from the earth over the night keeps the house warm. And so yeah, they don't need any heating. And it's the same with other building techniques like adobe and straw-like clay and things. The back wall of the house you usually build with a more dense material, like like the clays and like super adobe and things. And the front side of the house that gets more sun will be like something lighter, so let the heat in during the day, and then the backside will hold it during the night. And hempcrete's the same. It's passive heating where it lets heat in, but it kind of holds it at the same time, so you don't have to waste energy on heating and things. It's really cool, and it's just the way nature works. Yeah, it's really cool. Just work with the natural environment instead of what the most of the world is doing out there.
And it's the same thing with like it being cool when it's hot outside. It stays cool on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cool. Yeah.
You shared with me a video. It was like an hour video of these individuals that got together in Australia, and they started to like bring together different recycled materials and build. Was there anything from that you would want to share now?
Yeah, that was called A Simpler Way. So like a 1.5 hour documentary. Pretty cool. And yeah, they built a house out of super adobe, which is like pretty much just clay. It's like earth with maybe 10% cement if they need it, depending on the soil type. And they just put it in these like bags, like these like really, durable bags. And you just kind of pile it on top of each other. And yeah, that's like one thing they did. They also built a whole house out of completely recycled materials. It cost them like $400 Australian for the whole house, and that included their like fuel costs of picking up materials and things. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They just got together and they got volunteers to come and they just created a workshop on like come and build a tiny home, and yeah, everybody just turned up, and over a weekend, you know, people learning how to build and people teaching others how to build, they ended up with like pretty much a free house. So it's a cool way to get it done. It like people learning and, you know, sharing. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we have some groups on Facebook, and we'll put some of these links and what we're talking about in the groups we have on Facebook. We have a Microgreens group, we have a Hempcrete group, and maybe Henry and Eric will make more groups. And
yeah, we have a food group and
what group is that?
There's a food forest group and a mushroom group as well.
And pay attention to the real side, see what you see there, and decide to bring it here, and you can do it.
Yeah, and look out. Henry and I are going to be starting a little project where we review videos and talk about the videos, the movies, and, you know, subliminal things and other things and what we see from the movies, what the real side shows us, the all this shows us, things like that. What was the movie we're starting with, Henry? What was it called?
I watched it last night. I can't remember the name.
Chain reaction. Chain reaction.
Chain reaction. That's right. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, we had actually done this a few years ago. It was called Reel to Reel, and we did chain reaction on Reel to Reel, so you guys can have fun with that. I can come too, and anyone else. Just let us know, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where are you guys going to put it? On YouTube or what?
We're going to put it on YouTube and SoundCloud, and maybe I'll make a podcast. Maybe I'll make a... What's that thing?
Maybe Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, that one too, yeah.
Blog Talk Radio, I was telling Henry, you get it for free every day, a half hour. You have to pay if you want like the hour and a half, 2 hours, but you get 30 minutes a day for free, I'm pretty sure, on blogtalkradio.com, and then you can do a / whatever you want to call the channel.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so look out, guys.
Yeah, so does anybody want to share anything else about this before we let everyone else figure it out for themselves?
Oh, yeah. Real quick, if you decide to grow microgreens or anything really, you can try to grow upwards if you don't have a lot of space, instead of out, because, you know, there's a lot of space upwards. So, yeah. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, and if there's anyone out there interested in this stuff, like, you know, read Dwayne the Great Writer's books and look and see what we're doing, because we're more real than anyone else here on this planet. And yeah, our communities are going to be amazing compared to, you know, what else there is on this planet. And, you know, if you want to become more aware, do it with us. We're having the most fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and sing the new you and see us on the real side, because we're having a lot of fun.
Should we sing the new you?
Yeah, let's give them a taste.
New you, you, you.
New you, you, you.
New you. Yeah, and like some people, like just to tell you, microgreens, it's a marketing term referring to tiny edible greens grown from the seeds of vegetables and herbs. They're smaller than baby greens and bigger than sprouts. Microgreens germinate in soil or soil substitute, require sunlight for growth, and are harvested when they're 7 to 14 days old and are 1 to 3 inches tall. Their flavor is much more intense than that of mature greens, and you can add them to salads, garnish soups, or sandwiches. And by way of comparison, baby greens are just small versions of fully mature plants that are picked before they're fully grown. Sprouts are seeds that germinate after soaking in water and grow for up to 48 hours before they're harvested. And again, microgreens do appear to have a significant nutritional advantage, including vitamin C, E, K, beta-carotene, and that's been tested in 25 commercially grown varieties of microgreens. So one of the fun ones we're growing too is kohlrabi, so that'll be interesting. Yeah. So if you want the books by Dwayne the Great Writer, they are on Wonderful Worldwide Educators.com, and the books are available in PDF, paperback, 6x9, 8.5 by 11, and hardcover. And I happen to have one right here. This is actually the Universal Surfers. So this has book 2, and this is the 6x9 size, and you have this fun background here. This is A Journey to Real Freedom is what is in the Universal Surfers. And we actually have universalsurfers.club, and we're for your oceans. And you can check that out. I made some fun surfer videos. We surf out here in Surf City, Huntington Beach, California. And we're letting the surfers know, since many times the surfers care about the natural environment more than others because they're out there in the ocean and they're seeing the natural world out there. So check out universalsurfers.club, wonderfulworldeducators.com. Our founder of the new presentation is a surfer of about 50 years, Mr. Dwayne the Great Writer. He's still out there surfing. I surf with him almost every day or every few days, so it's a lot of fun. And yeah, check out the books. And there's also courses on wonderfulworldeducators.com. Oh yeah, and that's the kids' books. Thank you, Eric. That's Kid Book 1 through 6. You can purchase Kids Book 1 to 3 or 1 through 6, which has all of them. And they're picture books, and they're in full color. So these are contributions and donations to the Also Research Vessel projects, the businesses, and anything that we do just to pay our internet bill and like keep going here. They are in full color, which is cool. Lots of pictures. And there's also 2 other books. It's the Rebizar new book, and then the Rebizar Duva book, which are a lot of fun and explains Dwayne and Ava's adventure with Rebizar and Paul coming into here, and their colors and pictures too. And I do post those pictures a little bit around Facebook. And also just last night I did an update and created DwayneTheGreatWriter.club. So there are some references there, and it shows the real universal guides. They're endless, the real universal guides, but we do have pictures, physical pictures of some of them, and they're on the websites. There's probably about 12 pictures or so, and they can appear differently on the real side, maybe as your mother, your brother, your uncle, or maybe a homeless man when you're walking on the street. And Paul is many times a bus driver, so very, very interesting. We can talk all day, so you have anything else to say, Eric?
No, see us in creation and the real side.
Okay.
So, yeah. Did you mention our courses? We have a dream course, and what's it, real side? Real for anybody that wants to get in there.
Yeah, there's quite a few courses. I actually saw someone stepped up and purchased a course the other day. They want to see more. It was the New You Dream course. That's the first one we usually start with. So there's the New You Dream course, and then there's the True course, the True Completeness course. There's the New Leader course, the Real Risk Taker course, and then there's the Real Life Levels course. And there's also the Universal Sponsors course, and that one is only 2 months, but the other ones are 12 months. And there's also the Children's New You Dream course. So that's for parents and children, and really it's more for the parents so that they can understand the children's real side experiences as what is happening and give themselves and demonstrate a real education. So that's a fun one for moms or dads out there, the Children's New You Dream course. And then I also happen to have this one in my hand too. This is New Book 9, The Real Story of Eckankar, and it's an ongoing new book. So if you purchase it now, you'll get a little bit more than someone that purchased it 4 months ago. And there's more books that Dwayne is also writing on the real side. I'm pretty sure he's up to New Book 12 on the real side, and he's given some of it here in the physical. And Henry and Erick are actually putting together the titles that Dwayne has written over the past 4 years. So I started off doing a couple of those page documents, and I was over 600 titles at that time. So it's probably over 1,000 now, and that'll be something that we can put into books. And Henry's transcribing, which is very cool, one of the Skype calls that he had with Dwayne. And that's also something else that people that want to step up can do, is they can go back to the beginning of our Skype calls, because the recordings start in at least 2014, and people can transcribe those. There's a software called Dragon Dictate, and it basically does it for you. You just go through it and make sure everything is spelled correctly. So there's just endless opportunities in translation. Camila, she was on with us before we started this call, but she had to get off there, and so she's translating into Spanish, and everybody's having a lot of fun.
That's right. And for people that don't like to read too much, we'll be recording some of the books in audio format as well. So wait for that, and they'll get out to you. You can purchase those as well.
Yeah, or don't wait, and also be one of the people that reads that actually reads that. Because Erick said which book are you starting with, Erick?
Book 2. Henry's going to do book 1, which is one of my favorites.
That's Dwayne's favorite, is book 1.
You can already listen to them on Kelsey's YouTube channel, just with an automated voice, if you prefer that.
Yeah, books 1 through 8 are on my YouTube channel, and it's the automated voice through Mac. So I can tell people how to do that too. It is pretty cool that you can go text to speech on Macs, like super, super easily. It's already like ingrained in the software of the Mac to do that, where it's probably not on the PCs. And then I do actually read New Book 9. There's 4 videos of me reading New Book 9. I was going live for a while on Facebook, so you'll see a bunch of live videos from me on YouTube and on my Facebook, and I just so happened to end up reading all of New Book 9 in 4 parts. And there was a other part that was added about the Orion Queen, and with Claudia and the Adventure with Real Universal Guides and the True Silent One. So I probably read that somewhere. It's definitely one of the places you can check out about the Orion Queen and that adventure with the real guides is on galacticwakeupwatch.strikingly.com. So it's got quite a few SoundCloud recordings from Claudia, and while Dwayne and Claudia and everyone was going through this adventure on the real side, because basically they were taking individuals out with the Orions that were destroying the natural environment and even chemtrail pilots and things like that. So they still have physical bodies walking around, but they're not able to do certain things that they were doing before, and it takes a while to filter down here. So, and the adventure continues. Yeah, there's a lot more going on. And I've created over 70 websites, so I've got all kinds of references out there. And Galactic Wake Up Watch is one of them. Universal Files is another one, which talks about, it's got a few messages to everyone in creation, 1 to 3 messages from Dwayne. And it's such a huge view for this world, and it's a lot, but you can check it out, and it's a whole lot of fun. And if you're looking for all of my websites, just go to my Facebook, which is Kelsey Brown. And it's the one where I'm holding up the new book by Dwayne with Rebazar's face on it, and it talks about like that I'm wanted by all the galactic agencies and creation. And on that, because I have four Facebook profiles, I have tons of pages and groups, etc. But if you go to that profile, and you go to my notes section, it says New You Websites by Kelsey Lynn Brown, and they're all there. So, and there's more coming. I'll be creating a universalhikers.club website coming soon. Yes. And Henry and Erick can hike around and do fun videos, and I'll upload them to the website. Yeah, well, I might even talk about the Universal Hikers at another time, because there's a whole lot that we'll be doing with that. And there's a Universal Hikers group on Facebook if anyone wants to join it. And Dean Val, he's the head of that, since he hiked the PCT a few years ago with his son, the Pacific Crest Trail. Thanks everybody for watching, and have fun. And sing the new you and do something. Yeah, don't just sing the new you, do something, share something. Get real. Start a project. Start a Skype.
It makes sense of your life.
Yes. Recognize it.
Hey everybody, signing off. We're on Facebook. We're all around.
Duane, the great writer and all-humanitarian educator, is simply sharing his real experiences with Rebizar and the Real Universal Guides. What Duane is presenting is not political, religious, spiritual, transcendental, or whatever has been invented in the creative realms of time and space. Those who have taken part in Duane's real adventures and the new books are along the lines of Eye of the Beholder. The new books are real and not fiction or fantasy. This also is so for the so-called characters in the new books, as they are having the most fun. Join us in reading Duane the Great Writer and Universal Seer's 9 romantic adventure new books in the Adventurous series, with new books translated in numerous languages and real opportunities for all to become involved. Duane is sharing his real experiences for you and you to have real experiences beyond what you and you have known. You will learn to be brave and bold. You will see what others will not. Learn about cause and effect creation and what lies beyond it. Prepare yourself for real freedom now. www.wonderfulworldwideeducators.com.
New you.